subscribers.
You're not good enough for them, but I can help you be good enough.
Hey, what's up? My name is Maeby. Welcome back to my first YouTube video. This is number 1. A little about me. I like to make cool stuff. I spend way too long on small details, and I don't know how to whistle. But enough about me. I want to talk about you. Do you want to see something cool? Then stick around. Today I'm making the blue tiger from Kpop Demon Hunters. You know, ever since I saw the movie, I just cannot get enough of that little blue guy.
Are you crazy?
Are you blue?
Only in color, Michael.
To make a cat, you need bones. So to make those bones, I'm twisting together 2 similar lengths of armature wire. With the bones bent in place, I'm adding aluminum foil to bulk out the shape. So we're going to keep adding foil until we have something vaguely cat-shaped, and then we're going to layer the clay. For anything clay in this build, I'm using Super Sculpey Medium, because I've got real tough hands. And a pasta roller to make it really soft. Once you're done with that horrifying skin graft, pick up your new monster baby and smooth out all the edges. If your cat body is looking super lumpy and bumpy right now, don't worry about it. We're going to be adding a lot more clay to bulk out the shape. You just want to make sure that all of the edges are smoothed out. I'm not aiming for super realistic features, but I did try to add wormy bits of clay to areas that needed more wormy muscle details, for the sake of form. Oh, okay. This next part is super important, so make sure you pay extra attention to my technique. It has to be done in a very particular way in order to look correctly, okay? You ready? Alright. Did you get all that? I hope so. Anyway, I'm using scissors to cut mostly even toes that will house his toenails later. Next, I'm taking a small piece of armature wire and violating the sculpture right in front of my live studio audience. It's okay. She won't remember this. Or anything for that matter. I pre-baked some toenails and really jammed them into his toes. But I really regret this because all they did was stab me before inevitably breaking off every time they contacted something. Like my skin. For the head, I started with like a football shape and kept adding clay until it looked like a cursed Ninja Turtle. If at this point the aluminum foil eye holes are boring into your soul, you're on the right track. Kill me. Oh. At some point, I guess I added eyeballs. The head and body had already been pre-baked, so to connect them together, I used a drill to make holes in each, and then I really shoved a length of armature wire in there and covered all the gaps with clay to smooth out that neck. Unlike my first 2 attempts, spoiler alert, for this one I did all of the facial detailing with the head already attached to the body. Oh no, he looks mad. Despite surmounting evidence suggesting otherwise, I actually have seen a cat before. I promise. In fact, for this next part, I'm enlisting the help of my studio assistant. This is Beetle. She can be a bit handsy sometimes, which is a problem when your hands are tipped with tiny knives. She really doesn't do much aside from biting my clay and stealing my tools. But that's okay. She's mostly unpaid. After adding a bit more clay to bulk out the neck, I'm using the business end of my pointy clay tool to dig out extra clay from inside the ear holes. Oh, nice one. Don't tell your ear doctor. Ooh, some fancy tongue work. Wait, that means that next is... Oh! Hey, what's up? Super close to you now. I really wanted to show you the detail I put into this nose up close, but my camera isn't super good at zoomed in detail shots, so this will have to do. I hope that's okay. Hey, can you scoot over a little bit? Yeah, good, thanks. Wow, look at those lines. And that's a face. I wish I could claim I made this in one try, but yeah, attempt number 1 was really going through his dog days. Cute, but not what I wanted.
Ouch.
Attempt number 2 was a little better, but it had a particular body shape that I just... Alright, with that graveyard of mistakes behind us, let's give this soon-to-be blue boy his toothy grin. I spread a thin layer of clay where his gums would be to hold the pre-baked teeth in place, then I popped them in one by one. Alright, just gotta grab this last tooth here. Okay, I just gotta grab... Okay, I just need to trim a new tooth really quick. Alright. I'm using liquid Sculpey to secure the tongue and the teeth in place. Here he is, ready for the oven. And here he is after. The liquid Sculpey made him drool a bit, but that's super fixable, which means that this bad boy is ready to be blue. Almost. While making the tiger, I started thinking, what about his sussy sidekick? What? In theory, birds are super simple to make. Cashew-shaped body, little head, conical beak. So naturally, let's see how complicated I can make this. Using a sewing pin, I'm carefully outlining the expression that I want. To make another nut comparison, I'm using thin, almond-shaped pieces of clay pressed flat against his body as the wings. For his, bird teeth, I'm using super tiny triangles that will be a lot easier to see once he's painted. Hey, speaking of paint, let's see how fast we can do it. With Sussie painted, we can finally finish our feline friend. For a base coat, I'm using acrylic gesso. They pronounced it gesso? I guess so. People couldn't make stupid jokes. I really struggled through that first coat before learning that sponges give way better coverage. With the base coat done, it was time for his iconic coloring. But this good boy deserves very special treatment. I'm pretty inexperienced with the airbrush, but I think it's fun as hell, so why not? I'm starting with a bright yellow, and I'll layer the darker colors on top to create a gradient. Unfortunately, I'm not very dexterous with the airbrush just yet, so I hand painted the iris details. I'm using a metal ring dipped in pink paint for the circle. Adding the pupils. I'm using a UV curing resin to set the eyes so I can paint the rest of the tiger without messing them up. Oh, did you expect a detail shot? No, I can't just put everything I have out on the table. What I can do, though, is spill my paint on this table. Don't worry, you'll get your reveal later. In the meantime, I'm gonna coat the entire body of the tiger in Dad's midlife crisis motorcycle blue. Which, honestly, I thought was a little bit specific and offensive to name a shade of blue. Besides, don't dads going through their 50s buy muscle cars nowadays? Or luxury models like a Porsche? I don't know anything about cars. Or dads. Next, I'm adding white around the eyes, ears, feet, and stomach. And for the top of the head, a perfectly symmetrical V. Nice. I mixed up a mouthy dark pink, and this is the part where I'm punished for having no foresight. Because working around these teeth was an absolute nightmare. I'm painting the nose with a much lighter pink and outlining with the same color I used for the mouth. The tongue gets the same color as the nose, and if you were following any of that, we're done. Now in all the images I've seen, he's wearing a pretty modest amount of eyeliner, so I really don't know how I ended up here. Nothing a little bit of white can't fix. I mixed up a very light shade of blue to, Painting these stripes on my own is going to take a really long time. So instead, I invited some friends over to help out. What's up? I'm here. Hey man, thanks for coming. Of course, dude, no problem. Haven't seen you in so long. Where you been, dude? Yeah, just been at work, man. Hey, we painting in here? Yo! Hey! What's up? You made it. Of course, dude, you know I couldn't miss it. I had to come help out. It would have taken me so long to do this by myself. Haha, yeah, it would have. Hello? Yo! What's up, dude? Haha, yeah, now it's a party. Yeah, let's get this paint, man. Yeah. Stripes. Tigers. Alright, I think I can handle the rest from here. You know, some of these spots are coming out a little bit too vibrant. Oh, I could get my airbrush and hit it with a nice light white to blend them in better. But then I have to set it all up and clean my airbrush again when I'm done, and it takes so much time. No, I'm done. Too much setup. Nope. Besides, you won't even be able to see them. I'm literally the only one who's gonna know about them. Nope. I am a prisoner in a jail of my own making. For this cover-up, the shade I'm looking for is the mere suggestion of blue. Like, if LaCroix made a flavor called blue, this would be the paint shade equivalent. Oh, wow. I sure am glad that super noticeable detail is fixed and you can totally tell that I did something. Oh, look, he's done. The only thing left to do now is a base. I'm envisioning Rumi's balcony for this build, which consists of the floor, one back wall, one side wall with a large window, and a glass fence. I'm using dollar store foam board and measuring the floor panel about 2 blue cats long by 1 blue cat wide. So I had the idea to make an actual garden instead of just littering the area with flower pots, so I layered a few sheets of foam board to give me thickness that I could carve into. In hindsight, I wish I'd have made this area a lot bigger, because in the end, it didn't create the illusion of depth that I was going for. Hey, quick fact. Did you know, if left unattended, cats will bite your foam? Mine did, at least. I mean, I guess I get it. It looks pretty biteable. Like, it probably feels really good to just take a little bite here and there. I mean, who's gonna know, you know? Using a knife, or your teeth, cut out 2 perfectly identical rectangles. We're gonna slide an acrylic sheet in between these bad boys later. Now we're gonna carve the window panes out of the 2 rectangles. They kinda need to be exactly the same, or you'll be able to see all the weird gaps and overlaps through the window. Don't use the ruler though. No, don't worry about it.
Grab the
Like, you
ruler.
totally don't need it. No, man, you got
Please.
this. You can totally cut straight lines. You're so
Seriously,
good
grab
at
the ruler,
this.
please.
Yeah, look at you go. So confident.
It's literally right there.
So straight. Oh my god,
Nice.
the ruler. With my frame as a guide, I'm tracing and then cutting the acrylic. Just need to get rid of all this excess. Huh? That was weird. To finish this window. With the acrylic placed in between the frames, I'm using PVA glue and a stack of books to make sure it all bonds together. And after all, that's our window wall. Ugh, I'm gonna cover this architectural nightmare with a new one. I'm just marking out the lines for the tiles, but we're gonna cover this floor with a nice little goop later. I think it's time for a little snack. Just kidding, it's dirt. I only need the really fine dirt for this project, so I'm letting a mini sieve do the work for me. Before we can use that real outside dirt, we need to make some fake inside dirt first. This mixture is brown paint, Mod Podge, baking soda, and 1 singular scoop of Epsom salts because I wasn't looking at which bag I was digging my spoon into. If you frequent crafting videos, this method should be pretty familiar to you. Sprinkled on the dirt, gave it an isopropyl alcohol spritz, and covered it all with watered down PVA glue to hold it in place. Especially that corner, that one's not going anywhere. So now that that dirt's dirty, I guess we can move on to the gesso. Wait, I guessed we could gesto. Gesso? So after I paint a small section, I give it texture with a small sliver of sponge that looks suspiciously like cheese. Don't worry, it isn't actually cheese, I already tried it. I repeated this paint-cheese combo until the entire floor was covered. Then I went back over every line with my needle tool to clean them up. Oh, hey, I'm over here now. Yeah, I moved my setup to a larger table with better lighting, actually. Also, in the meantime, apparently I attached the window wall with a lot of hot glue. I'm also attaching the back wall with some hot glue. So productive. Just gotta trim it to size with a nice clean cut. So the back wall did a great job at straightening out the acrylic sheet, but the front needs some additional reinforcement to stop it from bending forward. We're modifying the balcony design just a little and using this balsa wood to make a pillar. For the last strip, make sure you cut on the wrong side of the ruler in order to impose maximum threat to the tips of your fingers. Please don't do this. I connected all 4 strips with a ton of super glue and then sanded every side. I don't know why I did this. It was getting completely covered in spackle later anyway, but hey, at least it's smooth. I attached the pillar with more super glue and it worked. Now to cover up this unsightly foam. Okay, hear me out. If you've only been using spackle to cover the holes in your walls to get your security deposit back, you're missing out. This is like top tier goop. The coverage is good and it's super lightweight and you don't have to be super neat with it because the real fun happens when you let it dry for a little while. Not fully cured, but still a little moist to the touch. Get out your craft blade and go to town. Look, I can't really explain it, but carving spackle is so satisfying. Bonus points if I left it messy to have more to carve off later. It creates a carved stone effect that I find has excellent eye feel. Okay, moving on. It's time to make a new wall, but smaller and outside. That's right, a fence. I made these circular circles out of clay to attach to the bottom of the fence post so it can stand up on its own. For every post, I marked out where I wanted the attachment points to go and then full committed with UV resin. Whoop, wrong way. Using the first one as a guide, I marked out where the next little blocks would attach and secured those with resin as well. Now, the fence posts in the center hold 2 panes of glass, so they needed blocks on 2 sides. To make sure these were even and wouldn't result in a wonky fence, I'm using this very special measuring method called eyeballing it. I repeated this process for all of the center posts and did a fit check for every pane after attaching the blocks. With the last pane checked and celebrated, we can move on to the painting. To save myself from ruining acrylic for a second time during this build, spoiler alert, I'm going to paint these posts before assembling the fence. Yeah, I tried to make a little stand out of hair clips to help me attach the panes to the posts, but it just kept falling over. Then my UV light died, and I was just getting so frustrated trying to do this with only 2 hands. Look, I really try to be reasonable when it comes to crafting. I don't like using what other people may not have available to them. But this fence is causing me undue stress, and it is not about to win this war. It's time to put matters into my other hands. Yeah, I'm sure there's definitely a way to finish this fence without the use of a third hand. And if you figure out what that is, just let me know, okay? Oh man, I forgot to make my offering to the table god, and now she's come to collect. Here you go, my lord. Sweet, fence is done. With the table god appeased, we can finally start painting this base. I kept the floor white and used a light gray for the lines in between the tiles. And then I used 2 different shades of tan to color the walls. So similarly to how I painted the floor, I'm using the cheese wedge to add texture and give it some eye candy. Look at that texture. I actually ended up repainting the back wall a bit lighter because after drying it was way too orange. Now that the painting is all done, let's get these windows cleaned up and... Oh. Oh no. How could this have happened? I just don't understand. This is a tragedy. That's so crazy. Who could do this? Man, all these marks. Look at it. I was so careful. Oh my goodness, people are dying. Oh no, I'll never recover. Man, I just don't get it. What are we gonna do now? Yeah, it was probably the cats. It was definitely the cats. Oh, hey. Well, it's just like my dad always said. No use crying over scratched plastic. I had this idea that if I slathered the windows in matte Mod Podge and then went at them crazy style with a sponge, they might dry in a sort of frosted, fuzzy privacy glass effect. And it actually ended up working really, really well. For the rooftop garden, I took a bunch of plastic neon aquarium plants, spray painted them dark green, and then dry brushed them with a light green to try to create some depth. Then I secured everything with hot glue. Hey, if you didn't already know this, aquarium plants are made from super meltable plastic. Most of the plants kept melting while I was trying to glue them down. To fill the gaps you can't see anyway, I'm using some little nuggets of foliage. I'm also adding some little nuggets to cover all the hot glue and melted plant bits in the front. Lastly, I'm securing the fence in place. And with that done, it's finally time for the reveal. guys, if you made it this far, I just wanted to say thank you so much, genuinely. I had so much fun making this from start to finish. If you enjoyed it, even the tiniest bit, please consider subscribing, liking, leaving a comment. And if you didn't enjoy it, dang. Also, huge thank you to my first patron. Stay tuned after the video for a very short PowerPoint presentation. I'm still really new to all of this, but I hope I was able to bring some semblance of entertainment to you. I've got a ton more video ideas and project ideas that I'm super excited to get started on, and I really hope you'll join me for those. See you soon.